course, those guys were transitioning to Todd Bowles' defense. There were some growing pains with that. It just puts them in a difficult spot. And this is also something that, even though it's a new offense, Winston has had the benefit of consistency and that he's only played in two systems throughout his NFL career. I know that there were coordinator changes, but it was still Dirk Cutter's offense and then now Bruce Arians. So I know that was a source of frustration for a lot of people in the organization, and they also had real concerns. They weren't expecting it. I know when the Miami Dolphins came to Tampa for joint practices over the summer, I know a lot of the media members were like, "Does Jameis always throw this many picks in practice?" And I was like, "No, this is really just what we've seen with him, working in Arians' new offense." But Arians has told us multiple times that, he thinks it's just kind of the growing pains of learning the new scheme. He thinks he'll be fine. Well, that wasn't the case, though, when the season opener came. And granted, they played the San Francisco 49ers in the season opener. But I think the most troubling thing of all is the fact that he's throwing picks, on the opening possessions of games. These are supposed to be those rhythm-type throws, getting a quarterback kind of comfortable. And instead, and they're not supposed to be difficult throws either, right? It's not like you're down by two scores in the fourth quarter and you're just letting it rip. These are supposed to be pretty easy throws, and they weren't. And so I think that's the most concerning thing. My gut feeling right now is that, just based on the people I've talked to, and I've said this earlier in the season too, I think he ultimately gets franchise tagged. I still think that's going to be the case. But Winston wants a long-term deal. They're not comfortable giving him that.
I wouldn't be comfortable either. That's, Jenna, he is clearly better than the guy we had down here for 7 years in Ryan Tannehill. And I never believed in Ryan Tannehill either, and I never will. I didn't even believe in anything that was going on this year because I knew it was all Derrick Henry. And sure enough, when he couldn't run in the playoffs and then you needed Ryan to kind of carry you, he can't do that. Well, this guy can. This guy can do those kind of things at times. He can make plays. But the part that I run the similarities to is Ryan was the same guy for 7 years. He was never really going to be the difference maker for you. Jameis can be a difference maker, but he continues to make the same mistakes year in and year out. And so that's the part that I don't understand. Miami never learned that Ryan was going to be Ryan, so you either had to move on, and they finally did. Were the Bucs, are they thinking that he's going to change after all this time, or is he going to stay that turnover machine? Even though he's supremely talented, he still has that knack of making the bad decision. So how in the world does Bruce Arians get him away from those terrible habits?
Well, that's $1 million question. And I actually asked Arians that, and he said he thought it was about 50-50. Some of it, this is just who this guy is, and you just try to kind of minimize the damage. But he also thought that the other 50%, were receivers running the wrong routes or just a function of playing in a new offense. And he pointed to the fact that, just about all of his quarterbacks that he worked with, whether it was Ben or, Peyton Manning or Andrew Luck, that their interception numbers went down year over year as they got more comfortable in the system. And he thinks it will benefit Winston, the fact that he can watch his own cut-ups during the offseason and he's not constantly watching Carson Palmer. But at the same time, you've been in the state of Florida. I know that you watch Winston at Florida State. Mm-hmm. There's also, this is who this guy is. The difference, though, is that at Florida State, the talent gap, from the Noles compared to all their opponents was so great that, if Winston threw a pick, guess what? The defense was so good that they would just get the ball right back and they'd march right back down the field, and that was that. The NFL, it's not like that. The talent gap between these teams isn't very big. I mean, you do have some teams in the league that are, chronically bad teams. I know the Cleveland Browns have perpetually been in that spot, and the Bucs have the last few years as well. But still, there's not, from player to player to player, there's not necessarily this big talent gap. And so with that, the margin for error is so much smaller, and he's just got to cut down on these mistakes. What they've tried to do this year is tell him, look, you don't have to be Superman on every play. Like, rely on the guys around you. And that's what they've been trying to build up this confidence and things like that. But at the same time, it comes down to it and you've got to carry a team. You also want to know that he can do that too. So it's going to be interesting to see. I know Arians, he still has a lot of faith in him, but he's also concerned because they didn't expect for him to be having some of the problems that he's had. I know that there were a few times this season when they were pretty shell-shocked by some of the things that they saw.
So Jenna Lane, by the way, of course, who does an excellent job of covering the Bucs for ESPN. Follow Jenna on Twitter like I and so many others do at Jenna Lane.
Thank you.
Yes, it's the truth. Jenna Lane, ESPN. Now, Jenna, because he's kind of, I don't know, I can't say he's mentally all there sometimes, when we've seen some of the things that he has said and done over the years. Are they worried? Because listen, it makes all the sense in the world, Jenna, to tag him. And okay, let's go through one more year before we either decide to give him the money or not. But how will he handle that? Because, like you just said earlier in this interview, he wants a long-term contract. So, are you going to piss him off by not giving him that long-term contract? Are you going to get him mentally not right because he's on a one-year prove-it type deal? What are they saying behind the scenes about the pros and cons if they do tag him?
Well, and that's a really good question because, he's not going to be happy if he doesn't get that long-term security. And that's just the nature of, I think, the position that you have these players that in order to play that position, you have to have a supreme level of confidence. And it's been conveyed to him. And I think as the season went on, I think Winston grew to understand it even more and more, just the importance of not turning the ball over. Even though he said it every single week, I can't turn the ball over. I've got to protect the football. I mean, it's every single week you hear it, but I think just the importance of it with this coaching staff, I think, was really the seriousness of his mistakes was, I think, conveyed more and more as the season went on. But you're right. He's not going to be happy if he hears that. But I also know Winston to be a real competitor. And I know from the time, when he was at Florida State, Jimbo Fisher always coached him hard. He even told Dirk Cutter sometimes, coach me harder. He likes to be coached hard. And I also think he's not someone to shy away from competition. What's interesting, though, too, to that note, is that, the situation where, Winston was suspended, he missed those first few games. Ryan Fitzpatrick started playing out of his mind. That eroded some of Jameis's confidence. He wouldn't come out publicly and admit to it, but it did. And that's why last year was all about rebuilding his confidence. I'm really curious to see what happens this year because Arians has hinted the fact that he's not going to have as much rope this year. He felt like last year he needed to assert the fact that this was Jameis's team. But this next year, he said he's going to be less likely to give him leeway. So if he goes out there and plays and makes some mistakes, you could be seeing Blaine Gabbert out there, or they could sign a backup, much in the way that the Tennessee Titans did by acquiring Ryan Tannehill. A lot of people said, well, how is that going to work out? I think it worked in their favor in the sense that they ultimately got a starter out of it. I mean, it's unfortunate for Marcus Mariota, but hey, guess what? He couldn't handle the situation. He struggled. He made mistakes. That's the nature of the beast. So I'm curious to see how Winston handles that part, having a shorter leash, essentially.
All right, so the population in Florida tripled after Phillip Rivers moved into the state with all of his kids. So, Jenna, it's the Bucs have kind of been hooked to them because, one, Bruce Arians likes his veteran quarterbacks. He's really good with them. He moved over to the west coast of Florida. So a lot of people are, doing the math and saying, wait a minute, is there something here to this story? What are you hearing, Jenna, about Phillip Rivers and the Bucs?
The Bucs are considering a lot of different options there because they don't know if it's going to work out with Jameis or not. And Arians also told us, a big part of whether Winston comes back is what's behind door number 2. Well, Phillip Rivers is one of those players that's behind door number 2. I know that they've done a lot of work on him and they're interested in him, but I've got real concerns about that because of the fact that you're going from a quarterback like Jameis, who is very interception prone, to the guy who is often behind Jameis, just behind him statistically when it comes to interceptions. Arians' offense is very much no risk it, no biscuit. It involves taking shots downfield. We saw, especially this past year, his accuracy on some of those deep passes, I think, really waned. So I would have real concerns about bringing Rivers here. I think he would be more of not a backup, but he would be like a, plan B if Winston doesn't work out, or I think that they would draft one. And that doesn't preclude them from drafting one anyway. I think that that's certainly a possibility. But, I mean, he's coming off, the worst total quarterback rating in his career, touchdown to interception ratio. And I think he's also a guy with what you've seen. He produced his best ball, similar to what we saw with Ryan Tannehill in Tennessee. His best stuff came when he had LaDainian Tomlinson. The Bucs don't have a consistent ground game. And so Rivers struggled this year because he was having to throw the ball so much. That's been the issue with Jameis too. So I think that I don't think it would be a good idea to bring him in either because I think he's going to have a lot of the similar struggles that Jameis has. And I actually think Jameis is a better option than Rivers is at this point in his career.
Jenna, I was with you 1,000%, right? And then I looked into the numbers, and yeah, he sucked this year. It was 23 touchdowns and 20 interceptions, although it was a 66% completion percentage. But did you know that the 2 years prior to that, it was 60 touchdowns and 22 interceptions? And the 4 years prior to that, it's 125 touchdowns and 63 interceptions. So it's 2-1 there. And it was a 65% completion percentage. So I'm wondering, okay, because you know how coaches are, Jenna, you're around them. This was really one bad year. If you look at his last 6 years overall, he's got 185 touchdowns and 85 interceptions. So it's really not as bad as I thought it was, as bad as maybe you even think it is, as bad as my producer, Bill, thought it was, because we went over the numbers 2 days ago on the show, and I didn't realize that really they weren't that bad before this season. So the question I think we really have to ask ourselves, and as you know, Jenna, you've covered it long enough, players, from one day to another, the fall off happens. You don't know when it's going to happen. The question is, was the fall off for Rivers last year, or was it an aberration, and can you get him back to playing the way he was playing the last 6 years? What do you think about that?
I think you hit the nail on the head with that. I think, as you know, the drop-off happens really quick, right, with a lot of players, regardless of the position. Yeah. And so is this a drop-off or an anomaly?
Right. And we never know when the drop-off is, because you and I know it's going to happen to Brady, but it hasn't happened yet. But at one point it's going to happen, and it might happen in the middle of a season like it did to Peyton Manning, or it might happen, you know, in an off season, that the next year you come back and you're like, whoa, he's slowed down. Whoa, he's not as quick. Whoa, he's not as strong. Whoa. You know how it is, Jenna. It happens all the time with players.
Yep. Well, and then that's like with Manning, for instance, we saw he was aided by a really good defense at the end of his career there, and that's how he won the Super Bowl. And he also, when these quarterbacks get to a certain point in their career, they're able to do so much more. I mean, even going to the NBA with Kobe Bryant, the way he was after his Achilles, he mentally had to, I think, master certain elements to make up for the fact that he wasn't maybe physically recovering as quickly as he did, or doing some of the same things he was in his younger years. And so how much can that mental mastery make up for what they start losing? The Bucs' most successful quarterback was Brad Johnson. Well, one of the most successful, I should say. Doug Williams, certainly up there. And Jameis is, he's shattered statistically just about all the Bucs' passing records. But, I look at Brad Johnson, and granted, again, that was the check down era. That was when you were constantly playing these Tampa 2 defenses. You could hit those soft spots in the defense. You weren't having to push the ball so much vertically down the field. But the reason he was so successful, not just because he had a great defense, was because he did not turn the ball over. And I think the Bucs it's not even that they need to eliminate turnovers altogether, but even just throwing one fewer per game, I think would put them in a much better spot, because I do think that this young defense has made a lot of strides. So it's definitely going to be interesting to watch. Certainly going to be a suspenseful offseason.
No doubt about it. Jenna Lane from ESPN joining us, ESPN NFL Nation reporter. All right, Jenna, before I let you go, 2 last questions. Shaquille Barrett, that's a guy that could be interesting as an option for the Miami Dolphins. But what do you think happens? Does he get tagged? Do they come to an agreement, or does he end up walking away?
That'll be interesting, too, because, of course, I mentioned franchise tag with Jameis Winston. Because it's the final year in the CBA, teams are actually allowed, typically they're only allowed to tag one player, like one designated tag. But because it's the final year in the CBA, they could actually have one player that's given a transition tag and then one player that's given a franchise tag. So I think all options are on the table, but I believe he's their top priority, even more so than Jameis Winston, because this is a Bucs team that, before Simeon Rice, it had been well over a decade since they had a double-digit sack player up until the 2018 season, which is when Jason Pierre-Paul came in. He had double-digit sacks. Shaq Barrett coming in, he totally exceeded all their expectations. This is a guy that was playing in the 4th preseason game, fighting for a job, and he goes on to have 19.5 sacks, leads the whole NFL. And what's so great about him, and I've spent a lot of time with him, he still works like a guy that's fighting for a job on the roster. He's still working like the guy fighting for that 53rd spot on the roster. I love that about him. So anybody that has him would truly be lucky. I know he really wants to stay in Tampa, and they feel like they're going to get a deal done. I think that's a big priority. I'm most curious to see what happens, though, outside of that with Jason Pierre-Paul, because, Shaq did slow down a little bit. A lot more teams were aware of him, and so they were trying to focusing in on him. But when JPP came back, and I want to say he had 8.5 sacks after having a broken neck, that I think really freed up Shaq to continue doing what he did. So they really worked well together, and I know it's a big priority. Arian said it was a top priority for them to keep their front seven together this offseason. So they've got to try to find a way to make it work with him. And Dominican Sue's also up there, too. And I think if he does come back, it would be on another short-term deal, a one-year deal. But interesting to see what kind of market those guys have. But Shaq Barrett is the top priority from what I'm hearing for the Bucs. So I would be really shocked if he got away.
Everything I know from Sue, he loves his money, so it'll be all about that. That's for sure. When it comes to Ndamukong Suh. All right, Jenna. So the Bucs are at number 14 in the first round. What's your gut tell you? What direction are they going in?
That'll be really interesting to kind of see. And I read the mock drafts, of course, like you do. And of course, we still have the combine coming up. I wouldn't rule them out from taking a quarterback, although I think when you're drafting at that spot, you're kind of relegated to the leftovers. And as you go down the list, you start having more question marks about guys. They're not in a position like the Dolphins are to really take a strong hold of their future. And even with where they're drafting, say they get a guy like Tua, there's all those question marks about the injuries and things like that. But, I think offensive tackle is something I don't think people have been talking about enough, but I think it's something that needs to be addressed because DeMar Dotson is the elder statesman on the team. He's a warrior. Everyone loves him. And he's their starting right tackle. And he's also a great story because he was originally a franchise or a practice squad player, undrafted free agent, and they developed him into a starter. But Donovan Smith, after this year, the guaranteed money is up in his contract. They're starting left tackle. And they don't know for sure if he's going to be the guy. And I think that they need to bring in a right tackle. And I think it makes more sense financially to do this in the draft. You get a right tackle, a guy like Thomas, for instance, Andrew Thomas. You bring him in as a right tackle and possibly develop him into a future left tackle. He could start on the right side, and then you can make that determination of whether or not, okay, you want to keep Donovan Smith? Okay, well, then you keep this guy over on the right side. So I think that makes a lot of sense for them to do that in that area, personally. I think that they've neglected prioritizing the offensive line for a little while. Granted, they got Donovan Smith and Ali Marpet a few years ago in the draft, but I think that they need to continue doing that. Because there were times this past year where Winston was under a lot of duress, and it wasn't just because he was holding on the ball too long.
Okay, I like that. I think Thomas or Jedrick Willis is something that makes a lot of sense for Tampa Bay. All right, I'm going to wrap it up with this. Jenna, somebody's asking me on Twitter. I don't know anything about this, so you're going to have to fill me in. It says, ask her about the Bucs Twitter uniform thing. What
I just wrote about that.
Lisa Johnson is bringing that up. She writes down here. She covers the Dolphins, so she's listening too, and so she's asking me to ask you about that. I have no idea. What did you write about? I haven't seen that yet. What is it?
I've interacted with her before on Twitter, so yeah. Hi, Lisa.
She's fantastic.
The Bucs are hinting at new uniforms. They're not publicly commenting on them, but 2019 was the first year that they were eligible to get new uniforms. And I don't know if you've heard from the fans here, but they do not like the alarm clock numbers, and they don't like the fact that they've only had one winning season in these new uniforms. They like the traditional ones. They like even the throwback ones better. So the Bucs are hinting at these new uniforms right now, and March or April is when they traditionally announce these changes. So I think we could be seeing some more videos. That's what I'm hearing. The Bucs social media department has apparently got some more of these videos in the work, and they're going to keep doing that. But yeah, the organization is not officially commenting at this time, but I think changes are going to be coming. And I know fans have been more than ready to have that happen. They just have not been happy with these numbers. The alarm clock numbers, the uniforms, I think they're too busy. And they just don't have an emotional attachment with them the way they did, with the uniforms that Derek Brooks wore and Warren Sapp and John Lynch.
Yeah, no, I got you though. But that alarm clock number thing, you cracked me up on that. That's
what they are. It's difficult in practice to identify, especially when they roll, because it gets hot. And Bruce Arians likes to crank up the heat when they're indoors. He cites sports science for that reason. But when they're hiking up their they're rolling up their jerseys, then it becomes even more difficult because then you can't see half the number, and you're already having a difficult time making out the top part of the number. So, yeah, fans have not been happy about these uniforms for quite some time, and because they've got these pewter helmets. And the NFL has a rule, and they've had it since 2013, where you can't change helmets throughout the season. Mm-hmm. And because the Bucs have these pewter helmets, it precludes them from doing a throwback game with the creamsicle uniforms, unless, of course, they want to have just this really nasty color clash where they're wearing creamsicle uniforms with the pewter helmet. It just doesn't look good. No. You know, other teams that do throwbacks, what they do is, like, if they have a white helmet or, like, you know, a navy helmet or something, they just change the logos around, and it looks like, you know, a throwback. But NFL players, for safety rules, have to have the same helmet throughout the year. So hopefully, it's my hope, because I do like the creamsicle uniforms, it's my hope that they can find something that will allow them to be able to do these throwbacks. I know how much fans like that too.
And listen, in all truth, I love the creamsicles. I just think we could have changed the color combination of it, but I still think to this day the logo of the buck with the knife in his mouth is one of the greatest logos of all time. Now, the color combination, that was kind of screwed up. But here's the question I ask you, Jenna. What kind of dope are they normally smoking all throughout Central Florida in the history of football? Because we think about it. We go to the Creamsicles. We'll go to the Orlando Thunder. We'll go now to the Tampa Bay Vipers. We'll go to the current Bucs uniforms. There's something about Central Florida teams that they come up with these weird and funky colors. What the hell is going on in Central Florida? You know what
I don't know either. You know, there's also somebody that's down the street from my parents' house in their neighborhood that painted their house a really funky turquoise. And I'm like, whoa. I'm like, I get it if this was Key West or something, or even if this is a beach cottage, but you're not. Like, this is more of a suburban area. It's the beach is a few miles away. Like, what are we doing here? And it doesn't jive with the rest of the neighborhood. I'm even okay with the light lavender house that's just down the street from there. But yeah, it's interesting with these colors. I don't really have too much of a problem with the Vipers color scheme, but I'm also a USF grad, so you know the greens and the yellows and the golds. I'm okay with those personally. But yeah, I guess I am kind of used to it. So, but to be perfectly honest, I get DMs from fans all the time asking about these uniforms. I've been more focused on the product on the field and like what the team is actually doing. So it wasn't a priority for me the way it is for a lot of the folks that are out there that are buying all the merchandise and everything, which I get it. If you're going to spend that much money on a jersey, you want to make sure that it's something that you're proud of and that you like, and not just that, but that the team's going to have for a long time. Like the Bucs got great mileage out of their old uniforms that they had. I actually myself years ago got a Brad Johnson jersey. I got my dad a Derek Brooks jersey. I got my mom a Mike Allstott jersey. That classic uniform that they had, not the creamsicle, but the Tony Dungy ones. You know, when the Glazers purchased the team, they had those for 17 years. And I just think one of their big issues is that they haven't found anything that can really rival that.
Well, I tell you, next Halloween, I'm going to whip out my Orlando Thunder's jersey from Kerwin Bell and put on a mustache, and I'm ready to go.
Oh wow! You know, I gotta wonder too with the XFL coming back, how many people are actually trying to resurrect the "He Hate Me" jerseys? I know I've seen one so far on social media. But that's what I want to know. How much He Hate Me isn't even playing in the league right now, but I got to know, like, what's the jersey sales like for that? And is he getting a cut of that at all?
Yeah. There should be like a website that has classic XFL jerseys, so you could get, Rod Smart's He Hate Me jersey. That would be perfect. That would be fantastic. There's got to be a site somewhere, Jenna, that has USFL, XFL, all kinds of old and funky leagues and all that were folded up all over the place. I
got to get some Bandits merchandise. I've seen some Bandits merchandise on eBay. And those games, my parents used to go to those games. I wasn't around then, but they said those games were a lot of fun. When you've got people that are, at halftime, midfield that are wearing fire suits and burning up people's mortgages. And even there was a car that was stolen from inside Tampa Stadium that was supposed to be part of a halftime getaway, and it was literally stolen in front of thousands of people. And I don't think they ever got it back. Like that's legendary stuff right there. I mean, I almost didn't believe it when I hear it, but I have multiple sources confirm it.
That is fantastic. And Jenna Lane does an excellent job of covering the Bucs and all the other stuff that goes on there in Central Florida. Follow her on Twitter at Jenna Lane ESPN. Jenna, it was awesome. Look forward to doing it again. Enjoy the crazy offseason that is the NFL.
You guys as well. It's going to be great to see what happens at the quarterback position. I know fans are pretty excited about it. So we'll have to stay tuned, right?
Think about this. We haven't recovered from Robbie, Shula, and Marino. We're still trying to recover from that. Think about that. There you go.
Yeah, there you go. That's a lot. Yeah, I got relatives that are big Dolphins fans too, so they certainly give me an earful about it all the time.
Yeah, they feel my pain. All right, Jen. Thank you. You're the best. Appreciate it.
Oh, great talking to you.
You got it. There you go. The great Jenna Lane, man. That was awesome. That was fantastic. Loved it. There you go. If you follow your Bucs, you got everything you need. And did you see why I don't get into the free agency talk? Did you see why I don't when you ask me, and I keep telling you.
Too many hypotheticals, man. Too many different courses, directions it could go.
I always tell you, let's wait till we know who's actually a free agent, right? You've asked me this the last couple weeks, right? And then I had some fun to give you a couple names. Like I would like Shaquille Barrett here. But what did the beat writer just tell you right now? She thinks he's more of a priority than Jameis Winston. So then that means, and if you can tag two, she thinks one of the two tags will go to him. So I've wasted my time talking about him. That's my point, ladies and gentlemen. Because a lot of these young guys don't become available because it's really stupid for you to allow them to walk out. I know. Our Dolphins have done it. All right, 2 hours down. We got 2 more to go. We'll come back with more. If you want to get on the accidentlawfirm.com text line.
Info.
786-322-1105. That's 786-322-1105.
Stunt guys. Travis Pastrana and Robbie Madison. Those are the two Daredevil, Evel Knievel. Like Travis Pastrana was the guy that did the Evel Knievel jumps.
Okay.
But there's another one, Robbie Madison, and obviously they're both Red Bull guys.
There you go. So somebody's trying to pick up where Evel Knievel left off. But when they make action figures of those guys, then we'll talk. Hour number 3 is next.
Plus tax, tech title. It includes $8.99 dealer fee on approved credit offers and 11/10/19.
Over 1,500 Toyotas are on the ground, and truckloads of new 2020 Toyotas just keep on coming. To eliminate all 2019 models, Toyota of Hollywood is holding the ultimate 2019 model year changeover event. Make us an offer, any offer, and you can buy a Toyota at up to 50% less than their original MSRP when new and used.
50% less.
A pre-owned 2019 RAV4, not $30,000, $19,775. A pre-owned 2019 Camry LE, not $26,000, $17,775. A pre-owned 2019 Corolla LE, not $22,000, $12,775. Pay up to 50% less at Toyota of Hollywood, the #1 volume Toyota dealer, based on total retail sales of new Toyotas in the Southeast region for 2014 to 2018 per SET, on 441 between Hollywood Boulevard and Sheridan Street. Open till midnight.
No one expects to get into a crash, but I expect you to go to accidentlawfirm.com if you do. Make sure when hiring a driver, you go through a rideshare app so that you can be covered by the insurance, which can be up to $1 million, whether you're a passenger or a driver. In other words, don't try to save a few bucks by paying cash instead of going through the app. I'm attorney Bobby Nunez from Nunez Law in Miami, and we're here to help you through the process. Go to accidentlawfirm.com for a free consultation from me, Bobby Nunez. That's accidentlawfirm.com.
Thinking about buying or refinancing a home? Act now. Home values are ticking up. Don't put off making a move any longer. Call Michael Kodsey now at Choice Mortgage Bank, 561-441-2730, while mortgage interest rates are still at historical lows. Call now to get pre-approved and buy your dream home. If you're currently paying over $800 a month for rent, call 561-441-2730 now before interest rates go up. Down payments as low as 3.5%. Veterans may qualify for no money down. If you own a home, but you're upside down, Michael Kodsey can help. If you're being denied by your bank or your loan process is taking too long, call 561-441-2730. Act now while fixed rates are still under 3.5%. Offices in Boca and Boynton Beach. Rates and terms subject to change daily without notice. Equal housing lender. NMLS 122081.
America's safest and best-selling compact luxury SUV is at Acura of Pembroke Pines, and this is how we do it. RDX, $339 a month at Acura of Pembroke Pines, the #1 volume Acura dealer.
The world's biggest band is coming twice. Metallica. Headlining the Welcome to Rockville Music Festival. 2 different nights, 2 different sets. The weekend of May 8th through the 10th. Go to welcometorockvillefestival.com for all information. Get your tickets on sale right now. The one, the only Metallica. Go to welcometorockvillefestival.com.
This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.
All right, we are back. And we thank Jenna Lane for joining us. She was fantastic. That was a lot of fun. It's always fun to do a good interview, man. It's one of those deals where you kind of get to enjoy. Anyway, if you want to get in on the accidentlawfirm.com text line, you can reach out to us at 786-322-1105. That's 786-322-1105 if you want to get in on the accidentlawfirm.com text line. And Lisa, thank you for passing on that question about the uniforms. I did not know about that. I got to read the article with Jenna. So that's pretty cool. The uniform thing is... it's something that sticks with us, right? Like if you love your team and you identify with the uniform, and when the uniform is cool and you like it, there's no like Dolphins. A lot of us don't like the new logo. I know a lot of you have adjusted to it and all that crap, but most of us, gun to head, you know what logo you want. It's the same logo we all want, pretty much. The old one. The new one sucks. It is what it is. So I get it with Bucs fans. It's funny because I love the original logo for the Bucs. I think it's one of the coolest logos on the planet. The problem was the color combination was terrible. But again, it's like a Central Florida thing. I don't know why, but Central Florida football teams come up with these weird-ass color combinations. It's not just Tampa. Orlando does too. They both do it. Whenever they end up with teams, they end up with these funky-ass colors. I don't know what kind of dope they're smoking in those places. It's crazy. Don't forget, folks, to give us the thumbs up while you're watching the broadcast. As always, for those of you that are watching as you always do, we appreciate that and appreciate you for keeping it locked here. And remember, whenever you're downloading the show, which, of course, that's the way most people listen to the show is by downloads. That's how, but 98% of you listen is by download. You can always send us a text on the accidentlawfirm.com text line at 786-322-1105. That's the way to send in any of your questions and comments and all that good stuff. There you go. All right. I see where we got on Twitter. People are it's really amazing how on Twitter so many of you are hooked to getting Tua, and I get it. Look, you're snake bitten. It bothers you what's happened with Drew Brees in the past. We haven't had a quarterback here in forever, so I understand the desperations behind it, but, man, it's just one of those things that, to me, it just doesn't make any sense at all. I just think he's a guy that is so injury-prone that it's too risky. But we'll find out. We'll find out in a couple months here what direction the Miami Dolphins are going in. Ohio State's got some issues, right? We got a couple players being charged with rape and kidnapping. Did you see this?
No, I did not.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Yep. Amir Reep and Johansen Wint have been charged with rape and kidnapping of an alleged incident last week. At least I saw this now on Twitter. And that's one of the breaking things going on right now. So 2 Ohio State players have been charged with kidnapping, rape, according to arrest warrants filed in court yesterday. So now we're going to – I'll read a little bit for you so you guys will know, obviously. But Buckeyes cornerback Amir Reep and safety Johansen Wint have been charged with 2 felonies, rape and with threat of force and kidnapping to engage in sexual activity. Franklin County Municipal Court documents show the records do not include further details about the alleged crimes, which were said to have happened February 4th. We're aware of the 2 students who have been arrested and criminally charged, they said in a statement, Ohio State. They've been suspended from all activities involving football program. We will share more information when available.
Did Urban Meyer become the head coach again at Ohio State? Is that what happened?
I don't know, but these are Urban Meyer type players. That's for damn sure, because that's what Urban Meyer players a lot of times do. Would they have 30 arrests in Florida during his time?
Only.
Yeah. He likes to protect his assistant coaches who abuse women too. So, I mean, anything is possible with that lowlife Urban Meyer. That's for damn sure. So I'm not surprised that that type of individual, if they are guilty, is still there, because I guess Urban Meyer hasn't been 4 or 5 years yet where all his players are gone, right? It hasn't been that long. So yeah, I'm not surprised. There you go. Disgusting. And if it's true, jail their ass for a long, 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 long time. Okay? How any of that goes through anybody's mind is beyond me. Rape, sexual assault, just the guys that were in an office and just walked by and smacked some woman in the ass for the hell of it and like laughed about it or squeezed it or whatever and think it's funny. Like, how does that go? Where does that cross your mind like that's a good idea? You know what I mean?
Odell Beckham post-national championship?
Anything. Anybody, anywhere. I don't care. At any time. I don't care if it was 20, 30 years ago. Hey, I grew up in the era where they smacked women's asses, and it was like a joke, and the woman would just say, stop it. I grew up in that era. I wasn't doing that. It's the weirdest thing in the world. It's a sick and twisted thing that I have no idea how any man thinks about that. Let me abuse this woman. That's a good idea. Let me abuse a child. Let me abuse a dog or a cat or an animal or what. Don't get it. Don't get it. None of it I understand. I can't even comprehend. And I have no tolerance for it whatsoever. None. So if those guys are guilty, they need to serve long-ass jail sentences. Okay? I've told you guys this many, 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 many times. Sorry flies for a couple things. There are certain things that, sorry, it doesn't belong in anywhere, shape, and in those kind of things, no. Crimes like that, sorry doesn't fly. Just doesn't go. It's unacceptable. So if guilty, I hope they go strongly after them. I have not seen anything yet on Bomeister, and see if there's anything new on the young man. Unfortunately, I'm hoping at least that it's a situation where he is fine and he's able to recover from all of this. But I'm trying to find anything new on it, and so far I don't see any kind of new news here and updates with Jay Bomeister. Let me see here. Nope. It's all the same still from, remember, this is Once you know, we're dealing with HIPAA laws and everything at this point in time. So right now, maybe the most important thing is that he has his privacy, he and his family, and they're able to kind of get through all of this. That's really the most important
If
part.
I had to venture a guess, last night, it's about stabilizing him, make sure that he's okay. There's no more issues, you know.
I don't know.
And then do tests today, and it's going to take a little while for you to get the, responses back from those said tests. So,
or there could be something really bad going on, and they don't want to talk about it right now. So
I hope not.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the heck is going on, and I hope it's something that he can recover from, and bounce back from.
Did you watch the whole film where he's like over?
Yeah.
And he skates right across the blue line.
Normal.
Goes and like nothing, and then all of a sudden,
it's just
two guys are panicking. Get over here now.
Yeah. Oh, you see him.
You see him go, slouch and go down.
And then that's when they freak out. Yeah. No, I saw it all, but it's just scary stuff, man. Scary stuff. All right, so we've got the Heat back in action tonight, taking on Utah at 9 o'clock. We're going to talk to Tony Jones at the bottom of the hour, the Jazz writer for The Athletic. He's been covering the Jazz and the NBA for several years. I've had Tony on my show, I think nationally. I think I've had him on my Sirius show. I don't think I've ever had him on I know I haven't had him on the podcast. This is the first time he's going to be on our show here. So we'll have a little fun with Tony, and we'll talk all things NBA and Jazz with him, because that's the good thing about Tony. He covers the NBA too. So we can kind of talk general NBA with him and get his thoughts on several things, not just Jazz and Heat, but of course we'll talk Jazz and Heat, and we'll promote that, and we'll talk a little bit about that. What else do we have going on? The XFL has got their first quarterback controversy, and it's in Tampa with the funky-ass Vipers. Mark Trestman, former Canes, by the way, coach back in the day. Aaron Murray got hurt, and I watched that game. Let me tell you something. Aaron Murray threw some brutal interceptions in that game. Like the kind of stuff that I don't know how many of you actually saw the XFL games, or if you saw at least the Tampa game and you saw Aaron Murray. If you did this go through your mind? When I saw Aaron Murray play on Sunday, I think it was, and throw those interceptions.
Sunday, 2 o'clock game.
Yeah, it was the 2 o'clock game. And throw those interceptions, I said to myself, this is why you never made it in the NFL. Exactly. That's what went through my mind. It was like
self-explanatory.
Yeah, it was like, yeah, dude, you were a nice college quarterback, but you didn't know. This is why you couldn't play at the next level, and you can't play even at the level under the next level. I mean, that's how bad the interceptions were. Like, wow, they were head-scratching. And so now the question is, because he got hurt, he injured his foot, Quentin Flowers came in, didn't throw a lot, but he also runs, and they want to use him as a running back and a receiver too. So they want to kind of use him as an athlete too. And Quentin Flowers, he's that athlete quarterback type dude. But now, Trestman's been asked, okay, so is it Quentin from here on out? Because, Aaron Murray sucked. And he was like, no, Aaron Murray gets the job when he comes back from the injury. So Trestman's kind of dealing with, it can't be much of a controversy because not too many people care. But I thought it was kind of funny that it's kind of an issue now that they're talking about benching a quarterback. But I will say this, I watched it, and I would bench Aaron Murray. I would try Quentin Flowers because I already know what Aaron Murray is, and he brings no athleticism anyway. So at least Quentin Flowers will be able to run around for me if he can't pass. So he can do some extra stuff for me. I don't know. I thought it was funny that they actually have their first, QB controversy in the league after 1 week.
I have to say, man, there was some good, solid hits.
Yeah.
Some decent action.
Yeah.
But you know what?
I enjoyed it.
You know what I think is the biggest problem, and a couple people have pointed it out? There's no allegiance. There's no fan. There's no root. Like, you don't know who to go for. There's nothing that personal interest. You know what I mean? Where most fans, when you watch, Oh, well, it's the Jets. We're going to go for the other team.
The first week.
I know, but
you got to figure out what the stadium is, where they're at.
But
I get
what
all
I'm
of that.
saying. There's a lack of your heart in it. You're feeling it. You're just kind of watching.
Well, your heart. Remember, you don't have a team, so you're not really ever going to make a real great connection with them. If you lived in Tampa, you might have a little bit more of a connection because you literally have a team. Example, I love soccer, okay? I've got all the jerseys of all the local teams that have ever been here, okay? I've worked with all the teams pretty much that have been here except from when I was a kid, then I watched it as a fan. Now, having said all that, when we had the Fusion here, brother, I knew everything about the MLS. Everything in it. Do you think I know everything about the MLS now? I know very little about the MLS now. I follow it very casually. Do you know why? I lost my Fusion. So once I lost,
when you don't have a horse in the race, it's kind of
right. I've told this story. I played MLS Fantasy when we had the Fusion, and by the way, that's a long time ago when we had the Fusion. It was 20 years ago. So fantasy was kind of in its young stages on the computer in those days. And I think I was like 8th or 7th or something like that out of like 400,000 people that were playing. Like I kicked ass that year. I had a great year. And it was kind of an overall ranking thing, and I was like in the top 10 of 400,000 people playing MLS. Now, I'm back to, okay, now I've got my team, Inter. So now I'm going to get into the MLS on a heavy basis. And it'll take me, probably 2 years to really get to know the league and everything, and I'll know it inside and out. But that I didn't have a horse in the race, and that's where you lose your connection. That if you don't have a horse in the race, it's hard for you to have interest. Like, okay, my team will be the Tampa Bay Vipers in the XFL.
That's only default because of location.
Right, exactly. But am I really tight with the Vipers and really like feeling it? No. But if I had a Miami XFL team, I would be in it. I would try to attend.
Well, you'd already have a jersey. You'd have a little helmet.
Yeah,
you'd be sporting it.
Definitely. I would be supporting it. I would definitely be watching it. I mean, I'm watching it already, but I would definitely be into it. Right? And the MLS is a perfect example. Because I was a casual follower, and then we got our team, and I became a fanatic of it. And then we lost our team, and my heart got ripped out of my chest, and I said, whatever, okay, I'll follow the MLS, but I'll watch it. I follow international soccer, but I follow it casually. I follow Arsenal's my team, but I don't live there. Barcelona's my team. I don't live there.
Years ago, though, you were into it, bro.
What?
Years ago, you were a little bit harder into the internationals.
Yeah.
You were.
Yeah, I have.
If I remember correctly, it's around the time that the Via Italia got corrupted and all that crap and all those,
Remember you're talking about Serie A, the league?
Is it Serie A that had all the
Italian
corruption
league.
big time?
Yeah.
That kind of, there was a turnoff there.
Well, for me, it's just different when you have a horse in the race. And I think that's what it is with you and all of us when we watch the XFL, that unless you live in an XFL city, it's hard to have that real connection with it. And this is what's going to, and you'll see now when Inter takes over, this is going to explode. I mean, absolutely explode. And people are going to, you're going to have your hardcore like me that are going to be into Inter right from the get-go, but you're going to see how it's going to capture the imagination of a lot of people in town, and they're going to be following this team. Why? Because now they have a horse in the race. The MLS has grown, has become a pretty good product now. So, it changes. When you have a team in your city involved, that's when you feel a part of it. And right now, we don't feel a part necessarily of the XFL. You know?
So when are you getting your Tampa Vipers jersey, bud?
I do need a Tampa Vipers jersey. Yep. Although apparently I'm going to get a Miami Beach jersey from Mr. Torres soon. We are going to get a pair of jerseys soon. So Mitchell, I saw your text on the accidentlawfirm.com text line. Thank you, sir, for reaching out. We will be reaching out also, as always. And remember to give us a thumbs up while you're watching the broadcast. Myron says, what's up, O? Today is Ray Manzarek's birthday. I will always remember your interview with him. He was such a cool dude. Without him there is no doors. Well, there's no doors without him. There's no doors without, Morrison. That's where it really ended without Morrison. But, yeah, no, Manzarek was awesome. And that was my second. I interviewed him twice in my life. And the last time, which I want to say it was maybe 4 to 6 months before he passed away, was the last time that I interviewed Ray Manzarek. And it was the Hollywood Bowl DVD that they were releasing, the concert from whatever year it was at the Hollywood Bowl, that they were releasing it in its entirety with, all kinds of stuff and all that. And they, they enhanced it, and
that's the one I talk about that. Like you see the shot, and there's people sitting on some of the amplifiers and stuff like that, and you've never seen them in the videos.
Well, they probably gave you a whole shot,
yeah.
They probably gave you a wide shot.
There are people back there.
Yeah, they did. I think they left out like a couple songs because there were some defects to the film that they could not fix or something like that, but most of it was put on. And if you go watch it, then you'll see what I'm talking about. And we had Ray on, and you're right, Myron. It was an honor, man, to be able to interview a guy like Ray Manzarek. That is freaking awesome for me personally. So I'm with you, my friend. Big O, what's your realistic expectations for our Heat with the current roster? It's a great question because I'm kind of in the middle now. I think they probably are a 4 or 5 seed. That's probably what they are, better than what I thought they would be. I don't think that they'll be the 1 or 2 or 3 seed, but I think they're a 4 or 5 seed. I thought they were a 7 or 8, so I think they're going to be a little better than that. So maybe you're battling with Philadelphia, and you better get better on the road because we know Philadelphia sucks on the road, and they're great. Best home record in the NBA is Philadelphia. So they barely ever lose at home. Miami is going to have to keep that lead so they can have the home court advantage against a team that's really bad on the road. And remember, Miami already has the tiebreaker against Philadelphia. So that's also a positive. So I think they're about a 4 or 5 seed. That's probably what they are, but they could get a little higher if if everything falls into place.
So you don't think that we're a definite lock for a home?
No.
In the first series, there's a possibility of sliding on the other side of the 4.
Right. Yeah. I think it'll be up to them in Philadelphia. I don't think they'll be a top 3 when it's all said and done.
You know what my redeeming factor is here? I don't see Philadelphia because of the way those two guys are mentally. I don't see their away record all of a sudden vastly improving somehow, some miracle.
Yeah. We'll see.
What was it I've heard? Minnesota has as many road wins as Philadelphia?
Yeah. It's crazy. Yeah, but Minnesota wins the same amount of games at home and on the road. They're freaky. All right, let's take a break. Tony Jones, jazz writer for The Athletic, joins us next.
Plus tax tech title. It includes $8.99 dealer fee on approved credit. Offers end 11/10/19.
Over 1,500 Toyotas are on the ground, and truckloads of new 2020 Toyotas just keep on coming. To eliminate all 2019 models, Toyota of Hollywood is holding the ultimate 2019 model year changeover event. Make us an offer, any offer, and you can buy a Toyota at up to 50% less than their original MSRP when new and used.
50% less.
A pre-owned 2019 RAV4, not $30,000, $19,775. A pre-owned 2019 Camry LE, not $26,000, $17,775. A pre-owned 2019 Corolla LE, not $22,000, $12,775. Pay up to 50% less at Toyota of Hollywood, the #1 volume Toyota dealer, based on total retail sales of new Toyotas in the Southeast region for 2014 to 2018 per SET, on 441 between Hollywood Boulevard and Sheridan Street. Open till midnight.
This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.
All right, welcome back. I promise we're going to switch a little gears. We got the Heat in action tonight. They are visiting the Utah Jazz, and a man that I love talking b-ball with is Tony Jones, the Jazz writer, covers the NBA and the Jazz for The Athletic. A must-follow on Twitter at TJones on the NBA. And, of course, T, how you doing, my man? Good afternoon. Well, actually, it's still good morning for you, right? You're 2 hours behind.
Yeah, still good morning. How's everything going?
Oh, man, it's going great. Can't complain. Obviously, we got, Pat Riley was kind of like in this funk, in this haze for a couple of years with all these bad deals. And somehow or another, he's finally gotten out of this whole thing. Were you as freaked out as we were that Dion Waiters and James Johnson were able to be shipped out the way they were?
I thought it would have been easier to ship out James Johnson than Dion Waiters because, James, has NBA skill sets that would be desirable to other teams. And, Dion's more of a ball in hand, I'm either hot or I'm not kind of guy offensively. So I thought it would be a little tougher to ship him out. So, the drafting Tyler Hero, which I thought was a masterstroke because I didn't think much of Tyler Hero at the time of the draft. Getting Jimmy Butler, which I thought was going to be huge, developing Bam Adebayo and cutting the cord with Hassan Whiteside. It just seemed in the last 18 months, Pat made pretty much every right move. The impressive thing was that most of the right moves involved elevating the guys that didn't make a lot of money over the guys that did make a lot of money. So, he's got to be he's got to be commended for recognizing some of his past mistakes, and he's got to be really commended for getting off the contracts of Whiteside and Dion Waiters, which I thought was going to be darn near impossible.
And we got to commend him for this. This is not normal for him. A youth movement. I mean, this is the guy that likes seasoned veterans. That's the kind of team he likes. Maybe a young guy sprinkled in or two, but normally he likes a veteran-laden team, which I think, Tony, this says a lot about Eric Spoelstra. Because I think Eric is the guy that is the influencer on all of this. Because Eric understands the direction the game is going in. He's the guy that really wants more positionless basketball like he did with the Big Three. I think it was Riley that had this love affair with the traditional center and, got suckered by Whiteside and screwed Spoelstra when it's all said and done. I think Spo's been a complete stud being able to coach through all this mess that is Dion and Whiteside and all this stuff. I can't commend Spo enough to do the things he's done and to maximize even some of these guys, even journeymen at times.
It's one of the disadvantages of being in charge of basketball decisions when you're somebody of Pat Riley's age, which is like, okay, I'm too old to go through a rebuild. So, I'm just going to give Dion Waiters $50 million. I'm going to give, Hassan Whiteside, $128 million or whatever, Whiteside got. And that's what got the Heat in trouble in the first place a couple of summers ago. You know, they were right on the precipice of, okay, they're an 8 seed, 7 seed, or, you know, they can bottom out. And they chose the latter. They chose the former, which is to be playoff competitive, but not really title competitive. But that didn't work out. And, you know, and I agree that Eric Spoelstra has always been an innovator offensively. He's always been a guy who recognizes the value of space. He recognized the value of space in Miami before we officially changed into the pace and space era. He was one of the first people when he put Chris Bosh at the 5. He was one of the first people that recognized the value of a shooting big in relative terms to space. You know, so it's not surprising to me that the philosophy kind of shifted a little bit. And, you know, the Heat this year, you know, they are young. I mean, obviously Kendrick Nunn, obviously Tyler Hero, obviously Duncan Robinson, Bam Adebayo, I believe, is in his 3rd year. You know, so they're still really young, but, you know, what Jimmy Butler has brought to this team has been terrific. You can't discount what Udonis Haslem brings from behind the scenes, even though he doesn't play major minutes. So there are a lot of veteran voices in the locker room, while there are a lot of youth on the floor, and there's a lot of space, and there's a lot of pushing of the basketball, and you know, these guys, they play hard, they rebound, they defend, they shoot very well. They're going to be a really tough out once we get to the playoffs.
So what'd you think of the whole Embiid stuff with Jimmy and all that? Is just guys having fun, because there's no way ever the Sixers allow that guy to leave, correct?
Well, I mean, not only is there, you know, I don't think there's any way the Sixers allow that guy to leave, but why, if you're Miami, why would you want him on your team when Bam Adebayo is the perfect center for what you run? And, you know, and Bam is, he's a two-way monster. He's a guy who can get rebounds and push in transition. He's a terrific passer from the elbows, from that system. He's so versatile. He unlocks a lot of what Duncan Robinson and Kendrick Nunn and Tyler Hero are able to do, because he's able to push. He's able to do a lot of dribble handoff action, and rub those guys free when they come off the screen, and they can get downhill off the dribble. You know, Joel Embiid can't do that, and guess what? Joel Embiid's not as durable, and you know, he's a guy that if you don't put him in your offense and you put him in your system, you have to slow your offense down and give him the basketball. So, you know, if you're the Heat, you know, it's kind of like, why would you even want that when you already have the best center, in my opinion, in the league for what you want to do, for what you want to run, and for your system. So, you know, I think it's much ado about nothing. You know, Joel, he's a guy, you know, that loves when people are talking about him, and you know, for as talented as he is, he's a bit of a drama king. So, you know, I don't think he's looking to leave. I don't think the Phillies looking to trade him. So, you know, I honestly think it's much ado about nothing.
I agree. You know, because I had fans down here. Oh, what do you think? And I'm like, this is just silliness that's going on. There's no way. Plus, you know, you mentioned the X's and O's part of it with Bam. I don't believe that, you know, I know he's super talented and all of that. I don't know if Embiid is a Riley-type player, to be honest with you. You know, if you question his conditioning, if you question his effort at times, those things can't exist in Miami. Your ass better be in condition, and you better be taking this seriously all the time. That's the only way you better be wired if you wear this uniform I don't know what happened with Riley. Like I told you, Riley went through some funk for a couple of years, and something told him, yeah, Whiteside and Dion are our type of players. And no, they're not. And he figured that out quickly. But, is Embiid a Riley-type player? What do you think about that?
I think he can be. That's the thing. Like, he's a guy who knows what hard work is, even if sometimes he doesn't exhibit it all that much. And, his biggest issue right now is that he's not durable, and he's never been durable throughout his career. Obviously you can look at him and say, hey, well, he's a little bit out of shape, but he's still, 22 and 12, and he's not even having a great season. He's still one of those guys that when he's engaged and when he's fully engaged, he's probably one of the more dominant forces in the paint since Shaquille O'Neal. The problem is the league has just gone away from all of that. I mean, teams that play against Philly, they're more than content to give twos in the paint to Joel Embiid while they're bombing away from three from the perimeter. And and it's one of those things where you look at how teams match up on the other end. There are so many teams that are capable of making Joel run, making him chase on the perimeter, and that's become a major thing. Not only for Joel, but even for somebody like Rudy Gobert here in Utah. So those are things that you have to consider. And with Bam Adebayo, you don't have to worry about him being small balled off the floor, because he can guard bigs, and he's versatile enough to switch 1 through 5, and he's certainly versatile enough to guard shooting bigs and to be able to move his feet and stay in front. So people like Kristaps Porzingis can give somebody like Rudy Gobert problems, but Kristaps Porzingis wouldn't give Bam Adebayo problems. So it's one of those things that the league is trying to dinosaur the traditional big out, and we'll see if that trend continues over the next 5 to 10 years. But people like Embiid and Jokic and Gobert and Karl Anthony Towns, those are guys that are trying to play a different style of basketball defensively on the fly.
Tony Jones, of course, who covers the Jazz for The Athletic and the NBA, joining us here on the program. You can follow him on Twitter at @TJonesOnTheNBA. Speaking of eliminating the big man, what do you think about Daryl Morey's experiment along with D'Antoni in Houston? Because that, my friend, is very interesting what's going on there.
Yeah, it's obviously it's really interesting, and the positive is that it's truly unlocked Russell Westbrook. He's thrived with the space that the offense is giving him, and he's just beating people to the basket and scoring layup after layup. And ironically, considering what I just said, it's the greatest of irony that the only person that I've seen in this 4 to 5 game run keep him away from the rim is Rudy Gobert, because Utah played Westbrook on Gobert pretty exclusively on Sunday, and I know you can go to the box score and see that Westbrook scored 39, but Gobert was the only person that had any kind of success on him one-on-one defensively. So the lane is completely open for him. He's scoring at the rim because so many teams are playing small, so there's a lack of rim protection once he gets there. Obviously James Harden is going to do his thing. PJ Tucker is ridiculously good shooting 3 from the corners. So there's a lot of good things to like. And defensively, you could say that, the Rockets lack rim protection, but it's hard to get there because you're not going to post them up. And, you know, they have a bunch of wing defenders now. You know, Tucker's terrific. You know, Russ is good when he wants to be. Robert Covington is terrific. Daniel House is terrific defensively. So they have a bunch of tough, switchable wing defenders that, you know, guard the perimeter. And I think that's helped them as well. You know, the downside is when the playoffs start, you know, for the Rockets to win, they're going to have to turn every game into a track meet. That's just going to have to be their formula. And it's, you know, you're just not going to have track meets in the playoffs. It's going to be, it's going to slow down eventually, especially at the higher levels. The farther you get, it's going to be possession by possession, and you're going to have to execute on both ends in the half court. So what happens if the Rockets get into a playoff series against Anthony Davis? They're not going to have any hope of guarding Anthony Davis. What happens if they get into a playoff series with Nikola Jokic? They're not going to have any hope of guarding Nikola Jokic. So there are bad matchups in the Western Conference for the Rockets where they don't want to. There are teams that they should not want to see,
right?
Just because of the matchup issue. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens down the stretch. But I mean, it's certainly fun to watch them play right now.
Yeah, and it made sense actually when you look at it, they weren't going to win the other way, so why not try it this way and try to be the complete mismatch, kind of like what the Ravens did this year, that they surprised everybody by the way they were running their offense, and it was something you could not prepare for because you can't simulate it in practice. Nobody can really do it, and that's kind of what you're dealing with the Rockets. It's not something you can simulate because not a lot of teams have that kind of an offense that they could just run, you know, on the side. You know what I'm saying? So it's interesting to see if this thing will work. And, Tony, when we talk about your team now, when Quinn Snyder first took over, did you imagine him to be this good? Because he has been exceptional. And – you know, he probably doesn't get nearly enough love for what he's done there because he's in freaking Utah. You know, so obviously that's kind of been put in the back burner when you're in Utah, kind of like when we used to have teams in Seattle at times. So you tell me, how good is this guy?
I think he's one of the top 5 or 6 coaches in the league. You know, when he took over, I thought he was very smart and very innovative. Obviously, he had been, you know, he had come up under all of the right people. You know, and I knew the X's and O's wise. I knew that he was this good. I knew that he was as good as he was. Here's where he surprised me. He's become a lot more of a player's coach than I ever thought he would be. And here's about that. You know, Quinn is somebody who he's just not afraid to get on you, and he's not afraid to tell you how he feels. He's not afraid to coach you hard. And you know, some of the stuff that he does is not for everybody. Like he practices his guys a lot harder and a lot longer than a typical NBA guy, a typical NBA coach. I know that we all saw, you know, Trey Lyles' interview a couple of years ago where he's saying 3-hour practices, and you know, that's been a big source of comedy among Jazz beat writers for a while. You know, so
hey, remember, Tony, you're at the home of the NBA for 3+ hour practices. Pat Riley, baby.
Yes.
We can relate.
Yeah, that
to
part
Quinn.
is true. that part is true. So,
hey, you know what? I hate to interrupt you, but one day we were when I was a beat guy, I did it for like 8 years. And one day we were at LaSalle High School, which is down by the Grove, and that's where they used to practice. And I crap you not, Riley was so pissed at his team the way they were playing. he had him there for 6 hours, man. We had we all made a little pot together, and we went and got like a bunch of pizzas at a place called Cazzola's that's right down the street. And we got these big-ass pies and brought it down because it was like 25 media members, and we're all sitting there for hours. And we were there so long that we had to go out for pizza and come back because it was 6 hours. It was a 3-hour practice and a 3-hour film session. And then we got the players after that. Can you imagine? Do you remember the line when Riley was talking about that they're shrinking violets? Do you remember that back years ago?
I do remember that. I do remember that.
That was the Senate. That was it right there. There was the game that they lost, and he called them shrinking violets. And the next day they had 6-hour practice, dude. 6-hour practice.
Yeah,
crazy.
I remember a couple of times. Jazz PR would be like, these guys are just gonna go to film today, and then we get there and we'd be there for 2.5 hours and be like, yep, still in film. We be tweeting through it too. That's the best part about it. So, but the thing about Quinn is he's been able to balance that and earn the respect and trust of the veterans in his locker room. And to me, that's been his biggest accomplishment. Because I knew that he was great from an X's and O's standpoint. I mean, he was just too smart. He had too much of a good track record before he had gotten to Utah in terms of X's and O's. For me not to believe that he was going to succeed in that part of the profession. I was worried for him about whether he would be too collegiate, and whether he'd be a guy that
a hard ass like you can do with kids because you own them.
I didn't know whether his voice would eventually be tuned out, and he's balanced that. He's been collegiate, but he's figured out a balance to where he's really, the guys in that locker room, they love him and they respect him, and they run through a wall for him. So, in that sense, he's probably exceeded my expectations. And when you look at the entire package, to me, he's definitely one of the best coaches in the league.
Tony, that's all based on results too, right? Because that's what I've learned from 30 years. You can be hard on players. You can coach them up all you want, but if when they go and they take the field, the ice, the court, they don't get results, they're not meeting their incentives, they're not winning, that's when they tune your ass out. But if you're going to make me practice for 2 hours or 3, but I'm going to win and I'm going to reach my incentives and all that other stuff, then yeah, I'll go. You got to get the results, and that's what Quinn gets. You can coach them hard, but you got whatever you're coaching them, that crap better work out on the field, on the ice, or on the court. If it doesn't work, that's when they tune you out.
Yeah, I agree with you. But I also think that, players know when they're being coached well. And I'll give you a good example. 2 years ago, the Jazz were in a series with the Houston Rockets. Now, they ended up losing that series 4-1. That was in the Western Conference semifinals. But the one game they won was basically all on Quinn Snyder's, all because of Quinn Snyder's preparation and the scheme that he put in through that game. Now, the scheme was enough to keep them close in the series. But, with Chris Paul and James Harden and Trevor Ariza and all those guys, Houston was just a much better team. And, I talked to one of the players in the locker room after that game. It was game 2. The Jazz won it on the road. And he was like, Quinn's a bad, MF. And, the players know. Like, they know when they're being coached well, and they know when, their coach is schematically sound, especially in a playoff series. And I think that he's gotten a lot of respect from his guys in that sense.
All right, Tony. So tonight, Heat and Jazz. The Jazz have got themselves some shooters. I watched the other night. Bogdanovich put on a show in Sacramento against the Heat. I know that this team has got their share of shooters too. So what does Miami got to do to kind of limit what these guys do on the perimeter? Because we know Gobert is going to be a load as it is.
Well, it's a good matchup for Rudy Gobert because he's not going to have to chase on the perimeter today, and it's like probably the first time in 2 weeks that he hasn't faced a team where he's going to have to like really, really chase. I think that Miami's going to have to defend really well. They're going to have to, shut off Donovan Mitchell from getting into the paint, which they did pretty successfully the first time around. But yet they're going to have to get out to Joe Ingles and get out to Bojan Bogdanovic. We're not sure if Mike Conley is going to play or not. He's got an illness and he's questionable at this point. The one thing, the dynamic that wasn't there from the first meeting, from a Jazz perspective, is Jordan Clarkson.
But he's streaky. He's
terrific.
Streaky, right? But he's streaky.
Yeah,
he's hot right now.
He hasn't been streaky with the.
Yeah. Okay.
He hasn't been streaky with the Jazz. He's been phenomenal with the Jazz. He's been. I get what you're saying. He's been streaky throughout his entire career, but he's been ridiculously good with Utah for some reason.
So you're telling me he's been. How long has he been consistent? Like the whole season? He's been consistent. That's pretty awesome.
He's been with the Jazz since. So I think the first game that he played with the Jazz was the game right after the Miami game.
Okay.
And I think that was Portland. And he's had maybe one or two bad games since then.
Okay. Wow.
So.
Okay. All right. Well,
so
I'm hoping he's streaky again and doesn't get hot again today and doesn't stay hot. That would be really nice, because I think that's what's going to be the challenge for Miami, is that they're hurting right now. They don't have Tyler. They're missing a couple guys on this team, and even Myers Leonard helps them as a shooter too. And so I think the key will be for them to get out to those 3-point shooters with Utah. Gobert, he's going to be able to muscle with Bam. So it'll be kind of the interesting part will be how will Bam get his offense off of Gobert, because that's going to be a real challenge against Rudy. Because like you said, Bam doesn't have to go 18 feet out.
That was fun to watch the first time around in Miami.
Mm-hmm.
Bam and Rudy go at it, and Bam's not scared of Rudy, and he's gonna go at him. And it was funny. It was they went at each other. Bam won a few, and Rudy won a few. Bam's got to be a little bit smarter with Rudy because he's given up so much size, and he's given up a lot of length. But Bam's so athletic. He's such an elite athlete that he's a guy that he's such a dog out there. Like, he just goes so hard. Even if he misses a few, he's got a second and third jump before anybody else has a second and third jump. Now, typically, the Jazz have not guarded Jimmy Butler well. And this is typically through the years. Butler's been able to pretty much do whatever he wants against the Jazz. He did that. I know Tyler was the one that killed Utah down the stretch, but Jimmy was consistently good against the Jazz in December. So it'll be interesting to see how the Jazz guard Jimmy, and if they can make him a little bit inefficient to make him work to get his points. And if they can do that, it'll be. And the other thing to me that I want to see is, who takes this game seriously? Because if it could be one of these games where everybody's like, okay, this is the last game before the All-Star break. 1, 2, 3 Cancun. And if one team takes the game seriously and another team is already mentally on an island in Aruba, then you might see a lopsided score.
Yeah.
Either way.
I got you. It always pays to live close to Aruba and feel like Aruba here in South Florida. So whenever you want to join us here in Aruba North, come on by and join us down here, Tony, all right?
Facts. I appreciate it.
You got it. Follow him on Twitter, T. Jones on the NBA. Catch his work at The Athletic covering the NBA and the Jazz. Tony, enjoy the basketball. As always, I appreciate the knowledge, my friend. Thank you for joining us here on the program.
Thank you for having me.
You're a stud. There you go. The great Tony Jones, baby. Good stuff there. Let's take a quick break. Michelle Kaufman, we turn the page. We will talk a little Inter Miami with Michelle Kaufman next.
Plus tax, tech title. It includes $8.99 dealer fee on approved credit. Offers end 11/10/19.
Over 1,500 Toyotas are on the ground, and truckloads of new 2020 Toyotas just keep on coming. To eliminate all 2019 models, Toyota of Hollywood is holding the ultimate 2019 model year changeover event. Make us an offer, any offer, and you can buy a Toyota at up to 50% less than their original MSRP when new and used. 50% less. A pre-owned 2019 RAV4, not $30,000, $19,775. A pre-owned 2019 Camry LE, not $26,000, $17,775. A pre-owned 2019 Corolla LE, not $22,000, $12,775. Pay up to 50% less at Toyota of Hollywood, the #1 volume Toyota dealer, based on total retail sales of new Toyotas in the Southeast region for 2014 to 2018 per SET, on 441 between Hollywood Boulevard and Sheridan Street. Open till midnight.
Thinking about buying or refinancing a home? Act now. Home values are ticking up. Don't put off making a move any longer. Call Michael Kodsey now at Choice Mortgage Bank, 561-441-2730, while mortgage interest rates are still at historical lows. Call now to get pre-approved and buy your dream home. If you're currently paying over $800 a month for rent, call 561-441-2730 now before interest rates go up. Down payments as low as 3.5%. Veterans may qualify for no money down. If you own a home, but you're upside down, Michael Kodsey can help. If you're being denied by your bank or your loan process is taking too long, call 561-441-2730. Act now while fixed rates are still under 3.5%. Offices in Boca and Boynton Beach. Rates and terms subject to change daily without notice. Equal housing lender. NMLS 122081.
This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.
All right, we are ready to rock and roll. We're going to talk a little football, and we always talk a little Inter Miami at this time every week with Michelle Kaufman from the Miami Herald. And, of course, you can follow her on Twitter at Kauf Sports. You can catch her work there at the Miami Herald every single day. Michelle, good afternoon.
Hey, how are you? I just want to warn you in advance that I'm waiting for not that you're not important, you are very important, but I am waiting for a very important specific call, and if it comes, I'm going to have to go. Okay. And then if we haven't talked a long time, I can call you back after, whatever, but
you got it.
It may be coming in, during this time slot. So I'm just warning you.
Michelle, you can just flat tell him he's not important.
Yes. I mean, my wife tells me that every day, so it's all right. Don't worry about it. I'm used to it.
Okay.
All right, Michelle. So first of all, let's get into the business of court dealings here with Inter Miami CF and Inter Milan. What's that battle like? What's the realistic portion of this battle?
Right. Well, the battle, it's not in court yet. It's actually in preliminary stages of procedural talks. But, yes, in last year, I read about this last April. This has been going on for over a year, or almost a year. Inter Milan put in, the Italian team. In 2014, they applied for a trademark in the United States to have Inter be a brand
a trademark brand of the word Inter, that 5-letter word Inter, which is their nickname. They put in an application to have that be a brand in the United States, meaning that nobody else could use the phrase Inter to market their team. So anyway, when Inter Miami came along then and got the trademark for the name Inter Miami, the MLS tried to say that Inter was a phrase that you could not trademark because the word Inter is used by many teams around the world, and it's just short for the word international and internacional, and that it shouldn't be, that the team here should not be prohibited from using the word Inter. Anyway, so basically what's happening is now the dispute is over the word Inter, not over the phrase Inter Miami. Any shirt that says Inter Miami, any cap that says Inter Miami, anything that has Miami in it, that is not being disputed. It's just that the team would not be allowed to market itself with the phrase Inter by itself. And so the league's position is that and the league handles this, not Inter Miami itself, because the league owns the teams. So the MLS, their position is that fans know the difference between Inter Miami, Inter Milan, and any other team that has Inter in it.
Of course.
And they shouldn't be able to trademark the word Inter, but they're saying that they should. In the worst case scenario, if they say you cannot use the phrase Inter to market yourself, it would have to say Inter Miami. They just would not be able to have a shirt that says Inter or a hat that says Inter. So it's basically about the Inter part of their name, not about the whole name Inter Miami or Inter Miami CF. And I have in my story from a source that is very close to the proceedings that there is no intention whatsoever for them to give up this name. There is no reason to believe they will have to give up their name. That this is all about using just the partial part of their name with the Inter part of the name, not the Inter Miami part of the name. So there are no immediate plans nor future plans at this time to change the name or anything. They're in the very beginning stages of these proceedings, and this happened on January 3rd. On January 3rd, the U.S. Trademark Office that was dealing with this said that one of the arguments that the MLS had did not really carry much weight, so they dropped that argument. So anyway, then they appealed. They filed an appeal in the third week in January. So this is a long drawn-out battle over the word Inter. That's what this is.
Right, and I got to be honest with you. I'm not interested in Inter without Miami in it anyway. So
well, the whole team,
that's kind of what it makes me feel like it's my team when I hear Inter Miami, because as a soccer fan, I know of Inter Milan, so I want it to be Inter Miami, so I feel good about my team. So that's real. I don't need to talk about it in Inter. I can say Inter Miami. That's fine. I got no problem with that.
Yeah, and really the truth is that the league, way going back to the Miami Fusion days, the reason they didn't call it South Florida Fusion or the Fusion or whatever, Miami is the word that they want to brand. Miami is the word that the MLS wants to brand, and Miami is the word that Inter Miami wants to brand.
Of course.
That is the phrase around the world that they want is Inter Miami. They want the vision of the palm trees and the turquoise water and the city of Miami and, the pink and black logo and blah, blah, blah. They want it to be a very Miami-centric team. So the key word in their name, as far as branding goes, is not Inter. The key word, which it is for Inter Milan, they're known as Inter because there are two teams in Milan. There's Inter Milan and there's AC Milan. So that is why AC Milan goes by AC Milan and Inter goes by Inter because there are two teams there that have the word Milan in them.
Right.
Here, there is no other team. It is MLS team that is competing against them with the word Miami in it. So Miami is the word that they're using to promote the team. Miami is the word that MLS wants around the globe, not Inter. But anyway, whatever the case may be, the argument and the dispute is over the word Inter, whether they can use it by itself or not use it by itself. That is what this is about.
All right. So,
and it's really not that big of a story.
Yeah,
so,
it's really
anyway.
not, yeah. I'm sure they will overcome and move on. I'm not surprised. I see you wrote about a Celtic winger headed to Miami. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, Lewis Morgan. He left Scotland today, and he is en route. If he's not here already, actually, because he was leaving first thing in the morning. There were pictures of him leaving at the airport with a giant American flag, like holding a giant American flag on his way to America. So, this is a young guy who was on Celtic, wanted more playing time. He's apparently talented. I mean, I haven't personally seen him play. But, he comes with good recommendations from over there. He's a guy who's played in the Scottish League, has played with Scottish national teams. And he's a winger. He's supposed to be good. He's supposed to be, talented, fast winger. And they saw something in him. And he's young. So he's not a DP, but he's a player who's been playing in Europe and is a rising young talent. The bigger news, well, I don't want to say bigger, but yeah, I guess bigger because this, would be a DP. Rodolfo Pizarro, who's from the Mexican national team, midfielder. Every indication is that he is very, very close to joining this team. He played for Pachuca. He played for Diego Alonso, the Inter Miami coach. He played for him at Pachuca, and he played for him at Monterrey, both teams in Mexico. So, he's a guy that the coach knows very well, a guy that the coach clearly wants because he played for him on two different teams, and they were basically working out the exit clause from his contract. But I believe that we are days away from that guy joining the team. He is a midfielder on the Mexican national team, a talented midfielder, very, flashy, good on the ball kind of guy. And then, so that is going to happen very soon. That'll be one DP. Lewis Morgan is on his way here from Scotland. I think you saw, I don't know, since my last, no, because I just reported this a couple of days ago, but I had mentioned to you last week that Julian Carranza was injured, that he injured his foot in training camp in Port St. Lucie. And it turns out it's pretty serious. He's out for 3 months. So he's out for 12 weeks, and he's a guy that was projected to be a starting forward. So he's out for 12 weeks, probably coming back like the first week of May, around there. So they really are in need of some offensive punch. So this Mexican player is going to come. Lewis Morgan is going to come. Is probably already here now, actually. Pizarro, I think, will be here in the next few days, probably. And then there is the one remaining DP that is supposed to be coming from Europe. And that is that's the last piece of the puzzle that fans here are waiting for, because the team did promise, has been promising all along a name that everyone has heard of, someone who has experience in Champions League, someone who has experience in Europe, someone who's been in the World Cup. So, somebody is substantial with a substantial resume. Not that all these players on the team, I'm sure they're good. And I've been out to the practices. They're working super hard. Some of them are emerging already as team leaders and as guys that you can tell are going to be really good players. They have a scrimmage today, closed door, but they have a scrimmage today against NYC FC, MLS team. They have a scrimmage today. And then I will be going to St. Petersburg this weekend. Will be their first public game against Philadelphia Union. And I'm really looking forward to seeing the team actually lined up against another team, see how they do, see which players stand out. That's all going to happen this Saturday at 4:00 in St. Petersburg at Al Lang Stadium. And it's free for anyone who wants to make the drive over there. It's free to the public at 4:00 at Al Lang Stadium.
Saturday, 4 p.m.?
Saturday, 4 p.m., Al Lang Stadium in St. Petersburg. It's the first time that you'll get to see this team play as a team.
What do you think, Bill?
Play against Philadelphia Union with Alejandro Bedoya on the other team.
What do you think, Bill? Do we get in the car Saturday morning, drive over to Tampa, watch Inter Miami play against New York FC, and then come back?
No, it's against Philadelphia Union.
Against Philadelphia Union, I'm sorry. Against Bon Jovi and his team.
Are you against Bon Jovi? Yes, let's kick Bon Jovi's butt.
Yes. You know what? I might do that. I might just drive up there on Saturday.
I'm really curious. I'm just curious to see. I mean, we were talking yesterday to Christian Macun and asked him, he's a Venezuelan player, and so he didn't really know any of the MLS players, of course. When he got here, he was not familiar with any of these players. And we asked him, like, which players have stood out to you, And he said that Will Trapp, remember we talked about Will Trapp last week?
Yes.
He said that Will Trapp, that he's been very impressed with Will Trapp from the back, defensive midfielder Will Trapp, and he's also been impressed with Lee Nguyen, who is, a veteran guy from LA that, has won MLS Cups, and he said that he's really been impressed with him, and he's been impressed with Will Trapp. And then as far as players that are emerging as team leaders, are Roman Torres, who's the captain of the Panamanian World Cup team. He's a jokester. I can already tell he's a prankster, and he's also commanding the attention of all the players as a team leader. And then Luis Robles, who I mentioned from day one, the goalkeeper who comes from New York Red Bulls and was a captain there. And the way that not only just from meeting him and hearing him speak, but he's also on the executive board of the Players Union. He was just very deeply involved with negotiating their new collective bargaining agreement. So Inter Miami has a guy on the team that is one of the league leaders in the Players Union, and he's a guy who's definitely commanding a lot of respect as a leader already on the team. So it'll be fun to see how this team evolves. Obviously, like I said, Lewis Morgan from Scotland is arriving like today. Pizarro, I think, is going to be arriving sometime this week. I don't know that he'd be able to suit up and play on Saturday, having never practiced with the team. But he's another one that's going to be signing, I believe, in the next few days. And then what's left, honestly, in the puzzle is the one bigger name that they've been promising and that the fans have been waiting for. And I keep being told it's going to happen. The fans need to be patient, and we're doing everything we can. The puzzle pieces are coming together, and that's what's happening.
All right. I like it. I think I'm going to go Saturday. I got nothing to do. Why not, man? I'd like to go see the team for the first time.
Yeah, it's a really cool stadium, by the way, if you've never been there.
It's right on the water, right? Isn't it like on the bay?
It's on the water. It is on the bay. It is literally a waterfront stadium. The little boats are bobbing around in the background. It's right on the marina, right on the water. Like, you look out from the stadium and you see Tampa Bay with little boats in the marina. It's a very, very, very nice little stadium, and that's where the Tampa Bay Rowdies play. So they're going to play this Saturday against Philadelphia at 4 o'clock. Then they're staying in St. Pete. They're training in the St. Pete area for the whole week. The following Saturday, the 22nd, they play again there at 7 p.m. against the Tampa Bay Rowdies. And then they come home, and they basically train here for 5 days, and then they have their season opener March 1st out in L.A. against LAFC, against one of the top teams from last season that broke scoring records and won the Supporters' Shield. So it's going to be a very challenging, very, very challenging opening game for an expansion team that doesn't even have all its players yet. And that game is going to be national on ESPN. So the team is going to be exposed right away. And it's interesting. It's very interesting watching a team from ground zero, from literally ground zero.
How many national games do they have?
I believe I have to look at the whole schedule, but I think they have about 15 times that you'll be able to see them on national TV this season, I believe. I hear a lot.
I hear that they are the top team in the MLS when it comes to national games.
Yeah,
they have more appearances than anybody, pretty much, and maybe somebody has as many, but nobody has more national appearances than Inter Miami.
No, they're definitely right. There's a lot of interest in this team, of course, because of the Beckham factor and the fact that it's Miami and the fact that it's been a 6-year saga to get this team off the ground, the fact that it was the Miami Fusion and they folded and now Miami has a team again. I mean, there's a lot of interesting storylines. So they're going to have a lot of national exposure. It'll be interesting to see how they do on the field. I mean, like I said, this Saturday is going to be very interesting because even though they keep saying this is just a scrimmage, this is just a scrimmage, the coach keeps like repeating over and over that these games coming up are just preseason games. They mean nothing. They mean nothing. They mean nothing. All that matters is March 1st. Coaches always say that in the preseason. But this is a team that we've never seen them play. We have no idea what they're going to look like, what the starting lineup is going to look like, who's going to emerge off the bench, what kind of style are they going to play. So we're going to have at least an idea whether they win or lose on Saturday. We will have some sort of idea of where they stand compared to an established MLS team that is just going through a normal off-season training where, they've probably added and subtracted a few pieces, but they're basically the same team, going up against a team that literally players are still flying in from other countries, and haven't even had one practice yet. So, I would say they're a little bit behind.
Yeah.
I would say they have a lot of work to do between now and March 1st. And the fact that they're going to be on national TV against last year's Supporters Shield champion, I'd be nervous.
Hey, things could be worse. You could be Nashville. So, all right. So let's just, put it that way. At least Nashville still doesn't have a stadium, right? They've got all kinds of issues. So Miami's got two stadiums. One that's almost finished, and then eventually they'll get to Miami Freedom Park and they'll build that one up. So,
by the way, I was there. Yeah, I was there. The facilities look. I mean, there's still so much construction. There are hundreds of construction workers there. You look at it and you're like, wow. I mean, they have a lot to do in a month, but they're working at a fever pitch up there. I mean, they're working like day and night as far as I can tell. There's hundreds. I think it's between 300 and 400 construction workers that are there on site. The practice fields look very nice. The actual fields, the grass is very nice. They have 6 fields, grass, and then a really nice turf field that's like NFL level turf. And there's going to be some like international friendlies that are going to be planned there for the next coming months. Stay tuned for that. On the stadium itself, they've come a long way. I was there in November, and then to go back now in January for their camp, and the other day, starting on Monday, it's pretty incredible what they've built. They still have a long way to go, but they have basically they have 4.5 weeks. March 14th is their home opener, so they basically have 4.5 weeks to get this thing done.
And listen, just so I can tell you that things aren't so bad. Not only is it the first year and this team has as many or more international appearances than anybody else on television, I want you to know how lucky we are. I believe we are the only MLS team to start the first year with an MLS team and a USL team. Nobody's done that. Nobody's done that. Nobody's done that. So,
the USL team, they're about to announce. They're very close to announcing. Also, they've been compiling. They've been signing players for the USL team because some of them have been out there training. They've had training. The practices that I've been going to, it's mostly the MLS team, but there's some other guys out there that are basically trying out and stuff and being, sort of through trials for the USL team. That's all going to be announced soon. I think they're going to announce like the whole USL roster, the coach, the coaching staff and everything. But yeah, they're going to have an MLS team playing there and a USL team playing there at the same time on different, obviously different game dates. But they're going to be training, the USL team will be training there. The MLS team will be training there. And then all of the academy players from all the age groups are also training there from age 13 to 19. So there's a lot going on up there. And there's also a lot of construction. I mean, it's a big construction zone still. There's giant trucks everywhere and giant cranes, mounds of dirt. But, they are planting lots of plants. They're trying to make it look pretty. When I was out there yesterday, there were lots and lots and lots of plants being planted along the sidewalks. And, they're doing some beautification and stuff. So we'll see. We'll see. It's like I said, it's interesting to watch a team from the ground, from the beginning, which I did with the Fusion in 1997. And we're doing it again now, but on a much bigger scale.
Yeah, on a real professional scale, not that Mickey Mouse stuff that we've been dealing with for many, many, many times over and over and over again with our soccer teams. Now it's being done in a first-class fashion, man. Only Mas and Ricardo Silva have been the only two owners that I can truly say I respect what they're doing because they really care for the sport.
They put their money where their mouth. Yeah, they did.
Yes.
They did, and they made it. I mean, really, Ricardo Silva too, with what he did with FIU Stadium.
Awesome.
Miami FC 2 years ago. That was a great. I was there when they had 10,000 people there watching a game, and they were beating MLS teams. They were beating
Cincinnati,
MLS.
baby. Took down Cincinnati. Yeah. Took down Orlando.
Yes,
yeah.
They took down 2 MLS teams at FIU Stadium, and he really put a lot into it. And I'm actually going to write a couple stories coming up about Miami FC. They have some interesting players who have signed with them, and so that's going to be really interesting. Anyway, I have to go take this call right now.
Go. Do your thing.
All right.
Love you.
Take care.
You.
We'll be in touch. Okay, bye.
You got it. Michelle Kaufman. Look at that. She got her call, but at the end of the segment, they waited till we were done. We were okay.
They weren't going to interrupt you,
No, they cannot
They know that you're
interrupt.
pondering the idea of us going Saturday. I know you.
No, I'm going.
We're going?
Yeah, I don't know. Do we have a concert? Is there a concert?
That was my question.
I don't know if we have a concert this Saturday. What today's the 12th,
scheduling
so it would
conflict
be
here.
The 15th. I know I'm also on Serious Mad Dog. When am I? Oh, the 16th and the 17th. So it's Sunday. So I can go Saturday because Saturday's the 15th. The question is, do we have
a jersey?
Well, no, the jerseys aren't out yet. I mean, we got
to go to Brett. But
they're not out yet. They would have given me the heads up if they were out. I would know they were out already.
Yeah,
I would be on top of that, and I would already have my jersey. Let me see, February 15th. No, we don't. Tomorrow's Al Stewart.
Year of the Cat?
At that little theater that I saw this guy in Del Rey. That school.
The transformed 1910, 15, whatever school. Yes.
No, it's a regular school.
It is still a school.
But it's a school, but they're using their auditorium for concerts, and it's a classic one. That's a pretty cool concert to go to tomorrow. Al Stewart, bro.
I've never seen him.
I've never seen Al Stewart.
And I mean, Year of the Cat, man, that's a classic.
Legendary. Yep. I didn't know it was tomorrow. Let's go, man. Let's go see Al Stewart, bro.
You want to go?
Yeah, I'd like to see Al Stewart. I've never seen Al Stewart, man. I think that would be a great concert. Hopefully he sounds good. As long as he sounds good. I mean, his voice sounds like not the kind of voice that
you don't have to worry about it cracking and breaking.
Yeah, he's not screeching and screaming and going up high.
Lack of effort. It's like right here.
It's a smooth voice. It's just a level above talking almost. You know what I mean? So I would imagine that Al Stewart still sounds good. YouTube Al Stewart. See how it sounds? Somebody's filmed him. I'm sure tons of people have filmed him over the last year. I bet you put Al Stewart live 2020 or 2019, it'll come up. Let me see what we got here. But you know what? Let's do this. Before I go to any of your questions, comments, all this stuff, I got a couple things I want to talk to in the final half hour here. Let's take a quick break. We'll reset here for the final half hour right here on the Big O Show.
Plus tax, tech title. It includes $8.99 dealer fee on approved credit offers and 11/10/19.
Over 1,500 Toyotas are on the ground, and truckloads of new 2020 Toyotas just keep on coming. To eliminate all 2019 models, Toyota of Hollywood is holding the ultimate 2019 model year changeover event. Make us an offer, any offer, and you can buy a Toyota at up to 50% less than their original MSRP when new and used.
50% less.
A pre-owned 2019 RAV4, not $30,000, $19,775. A pre-owned 2019 Camry LE, not $26,000, $17,775. A pre-owned 2019 Corolla LE, not $22,000, $12,775. Pay up to 50% less at Toyota of Hollywood, the #1 volume Toyota dealer, based on total retail sales of new Toyotas in the Southeast region for 2014 to 2018 per SET, on 441 between Hollywood Boulevard and Sheridan Street. Open till midnight.
Thinking about buying or refinancing a home? Act now. Home values are ticking up. Don't put off making a move any longer. Call Michael Kodsey now at Choice Mortgage Bank, 561-441-2730, while mortgage interest rates are still at historical lows. Call now to get pre-approved and buy your dream home. If you're currently paying over $800 a month for rent, call 561-441-2730 now before interest rates go up. Down payments as low as 3.5%. Veterans may qualify for no money down. If you own a home, but you're upside down, Michael Kodsey can help. If you're being denied by your bank or your loan process is taking too long, call 561-441-2730. Act now while fixed rates are still under 3.5%. Offices in Boca and Boynton Beach. Rates and terms subject to change daily without notice. Equal housing lender. NMLS 122081.
No one expects to get into a crash, but I expect you to go to accidentlawfirm.com if you do. Make sure when hiring a driver, you go through a rideshare app so that you can be covered by the insurance, which can be up to $1 million whether you're a passenger or a driver. In other words, don't try to save a few bucks by paying cash instead of going through the app. I'm attorney Bobby Nunez from Nunez Law in Miami, and we're here to help you through the process. Go to accidentlawfirm.com for a free consultation from me, Bobby Nunez. That's accidentlawfirm.com.
America's safest and best-selling compact luxury SUV is at Acura of Pembroke Pines, and this is how we do it. RDX, $339 a month at Acura of Pembroke Pines, the #1 volume Acura dealer.
The world's biggest band is coming twice. Metallica. Headlining the Welcome to Rockville Music Festival. 2 different nights, 2 different sets. The weekend of May 8th through the 10th. Go to welcometorocktillefestival.com for all information. Get your tickets on sale right now. The one, the only Metallica. Go to welcometorocktillefestival.com.
This is the Big O Show. 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 This is the Big O Show.
Stewart sounds good. Doesn't sound bad. He sounds good. I think we'll go tomorrow because it's such an intimate place. You know, it's such a cool place too. And have you been to that stretch in Delray? It's full of bars and clubs and all. It's like a really nice. And by the way, we should go because we should actually have some fun and eat at Mellow Mushroom right down the block.
Oh, no kidding. No, okay. Yeah, we're going.
That's like the original Mellow Mushroom.
We're in.
In South Florida, I believe that was the first Mellow Mushroom.
Let's make sure it's still there. Oh, remember what happened?
No, that's based that everything. You know that they're closing that down. They're making it a condos and a hotel and all that. Now, they failed in their thing to approve it, but then they're going to do it again, and they're going to try because everything's dying again there.
Okay.
I don't understand how the Bakery Center, Sunset Place, Parallel Bars, whatever the hell you want to call it.
Oh, I was talking about the situation that we had up in Mobile when we go to the Mellow, and it's like not there.
But they moved it. There was another one. Yeah, exactly.
Like, what the?
Yeah, but that one was there for a long time, like years, where this was like
the last time we did Del Rey that I did it, it was we were way ahead of time going to the Orbit to see the Fix.
Oh, okay. Well, Del Rey also supposedly has, not supposedly, they have an old-time arcade place, too, also.
Maybe Discs of Tron, possibly?
Mellow Mushroom is there at 25 Southeast 6th Avenue in Del Rey Beach, baby. Closes at 10 tonight. There you go. So,
I guess we're going to go have Mellow Mushroom and look for Discs of Tron at this place.
What we do is we finish the show tomorrow. Oh, man, but we are in Hollywood. Are
you going right from Toyota?
We go from there. Yeah, because we got to go to Del Rey to go all the way down south to then go back up north to Del Rey.
No.
You know what I mean? So,
no. That would not.
You know what? I know we'll be able to pull it off. I have an idea.
You're astounding in this capacity.
Yes.
Do you know that?
Yes, I have an idea. We'll be able to pull it off. Yes. So tomorrow, we'll do our show in there, and then we'll go up to Del Rey, and we'll go.
I have an idea.
We'll see.
Here we are, and we're jumping in. Are there tickets available?
I don't know. There's got to be tickets available. I don't think that he's sold out. I mean, it is a small place, but I don't think he's sold out. I don't think so.
You know what? I sit here and I'm thinking, and it's when we went to see Howard Jones over at Dania.
Right.
The High Life Fronton. If he didn't sell out.
Right.
Yeah. I'd say.
Mm-hmm. Did you see Lindsey Buckingham, by the way, is now touring? Back from the operation. Able to sing again. Able to tour. Not coming here to South Florida.
Whoa.
Now, wait a minute. Hold on. He did come back. He did come the other time that he last toured solo. He came here because I saw him at Adrian Arst, and he was phenomenal. But I have something for you.
Man, if you guys have never seen Lindsey, him playing the guitar with
you have an opportunity to see him.
With his fingers.
You have an opportunity to see him. I will not.
What's that?
But you will have an opportunity if you choose to.
What is that? When?
Saturday the 25th in Vegas. He's there.
Yeah?
Yeah, I'll be at April Wine. I'm not, Greeper's going to Ice Cube. I'm going to April Wine. So you can either go to Ice Cube, April Wine, or Lindsey Buckingham. That night in Vegas, that Saturday night is becoming like a crazy-ass night for concerts.
Well, you know something? Think about it. That is the early start of the draft, and they're done. I think it's 3-4 in the afternoon. It starts Saturday.
Yeah, but some of those bands have really nothing to do with the draft. That's the funky part. Saturday, the 25th, if you're going that week or a couple days for the draft in Vegas for our party and our get-together, okay? Where are we at here? Oh, God, I went to Indianapolis. Oh, I picked the wrong city. All right, here we go.
Well, that's because of the combine, man. It's understandable.
Yeah, no. I have Indy saved here. Saturday, listen to the bands that are there on Saturday. Wait a minute. Here we go. Keith Urban is playing on Saturday. Bryan Adams, Bruno Mars, Sheena Easton, Thelma Houston, April Wine, and now you have Lindsey Buckingham. And Ice Cube, and Pitbull, and Dionne Warwick.
That's because all the people that are there for the draft, they have the night. The draft is over early.
Damn,
so
dude.
Saturday night is the night.
Lindsey Buckingham, Dionne Warwick, Pitbull, Ice Cube, David Guetta, if you like that. I don't like that, but whatever. April Wine, Thelma Houston, Sheena Easton, Bruno Mars, Bryan Adams, Keith Urban. That's all one night in Vegas. If you like
they're
multiple
sounding like
artists,
Los Angeles. They're sounding like Los Angeles.
yeah.
Man.
But if you like music like I do, you know how many, I wouldn't mind seeing Thelma Houston, just for the hell of it. But I can't go see Thelma Houston when I would go see Ice Cube first.
Well, the only reason you want to see April Wine is because you haven't seen them since back
in the 80s.
Once Upon a Time.
Yes. And I love April Wine. I'm a huge April Wine fan. Love April Wine. Classic 80s rock, MTV favorite, all that good stuff.
Oh, they had what? Probably 3 or 4 songs that had videos that we got to see.
Definitely.
You know, I wouldn't mind seeing April Wine. I mean, I've never seen them, so it would be a good check the box band, you know?
Nothing like new outside of what I just mentioned, Lindsey Buckingham, for that week. I haven't seen anything new outside of Lindsey, and that was added last night when Lindsey announced his tour. And I went to the dates right away, and I saw we had nothing. But then I looked again at the Vegas date, and I'm like, wow, dude, he's in Vegas. That is fantastic. He's going to be in Vegas while we're out there. So I like it. Struts will be here. And by the way, the Struts will be here June 9th at the Revolution Live. For my friends all around Florida, in Orlando, they'll be there the next day on June 10th at a place called the Beecham Theater. I've never been there.
Are you going?
I'm thinking about it.
I know you, man.
I'm thinking about it. Is June 10th like a weekend? Not that really matters anymore. I can take off and go wherever the hell I want when I want. And then June 12th, they're in St. Pete at Janice Live. So if you want to see the Struts, the 3 Florida dates, 9th at the Revolution Live, 10th at Beecham Theater, and 12th at Janice Live. No, you're not on. You're not on.
June 10th, dead center of the week, Wednesday.
Oh, there you go. All right. So Friday is the St. Pete one. I can go Friday to the St. Pete one instead.
Wouldn't it be less effort to do?
Orlando? Probably.
Yeah, man.
Probably. You're probably right. And it gives them a day's rest.
So
the voice is fresher. From 9 and 10, you're seeing back-to-back nights.
Is that
the 12th? You got a day between.
ESPN Boardwalk?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that too. What else did I see? The Strokes are coming. You like the Strokes?
I
like the Strokes, dude. I think they're pretty cool. They're coming to a place I've never seen them. I've never been to a concert in this place, but I've heard a couple of concerts there. It's called Mana Wynwood Convention Center. So in Wynwood, May 1st. How cool is that to go right to Wynwood and go see? Ambrosia's coming to Gulfstream Park on the 14th of June. How about that? Gulfstream Park going to get back into concerts? The Psychedelic Furs are coming April 14th to the Revolution Live.
You know what? The last time they were here, I could tell you exactly. Rolling Stones and the moving of the show because of the storm.
Yes, I missed them.
You went all the way up there.
I went to the Culture Room with my wife. I tried to get tickets. It was sold out.
Yep.
Sold out, but I will be going to the Revolution Live to go see the Furs. I've seen them so many times, and I can see the Furs over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. Love the Furs, dude. Jeff Tate is coming to the new Parker Playhouse March 18th, which is our wedding anniversary, 26 years. You think my wife will get mad if I take her to a Jeff Tate concert? I'll tell her to wear black, and that way she'll be the lady that wore black. I don't know if he'll sing that Queensryche song. What do you think, Jeff Tate? Would you go to Jeff Tate? Jeff Tate, March 18th. Parker Playhouse, the new Parker Playhouse. Remember, they remodeled. They put in millions into the new Parker Playhouse. Looking forward to that. British Lion will be here.
Really?
Yes. Saturday.
Steve Harris must be listening.
Saturday. Revolution Live.
This Saturday?
Yeah, so it's either Inter or British Lion. Okay? Disturbed, Stained and Bad Wolves, July 24th at I Think Amphitheater in West Palm Beach. That's another one. And let me give you the concert of all concerts. If you happen to be an 80s I don't know. I would say an 80s fanatic. And you like the music like the Smiths and stuff like that, Blondie, that era of music in those days, well, then you've got to go to the first Cruel World Fest. It's it's the Cruel World Fest, I think is what it's called. Let me pull it up for you here. All right. The Cruel World Fest has a lineup like you have not seen in forever. The problem is you got to go to Los Angeles, okay? This will be May 2nd in Los Angeles. Listen to the bands here. Are you ready for this? We've got Missing Persons, Berlin, Gene Loves Jezebel, Mark Allman, which is Soft Cell, Tainted Love. Gary Newman, The Cars. Cars, the song Cars. Public Image Limited, English Beat, The Church, Violent Femmes, The Psychedelic Furs, Echo and the Bunnymen, Devo, Blondie, Bauhaus, Morrissey. Morrissey's the headliner. So I went from openers to the headliner. Morrissey, Bauhaus, Blondie, Devo, Echo and the Bunnymen, The Psychedelic Furs, Violent Femmes, The Church, English Beat, Public Image Limited, or PIL like we like to call them, Gary Newman, Mark Allman. There's a bunch of other ones. Gene Loves Jezebel, Berlin, and Missing Persons. Bad Manners is there too. And then there's some other bands that I don't really know. I don't know She Wants Revenge. I don't know Black Audio. I don't know London After Midnight, Drab Majesty, 45 Grave, Christian Death, The Meteors. Those are a whole bunch of other bands that I don't know. But the main bands that I gave you, it's a one-day festival. That's pretty cool. I'm seriously thinking of going to that. I mean, that is the Cruel World Fest in Los Angeles. That's a pretty awesome deal right there. There you go. That's some music and some concert info for you, just in case if you didn't know about some of these concerts coming locally and that one monster festival in Los Angeles. I wish they would do that here. I really do. That would be an awesome concert to do that here. But eventually, I know that Bauhaus will come. The Furs obviously come all the time. The Femmes, you see them every once in a while. We just saw The Church recently. So that's the only thing. Morrissey doesn't come nearly as often as I would like.
Last time it was here was Adrian Arsh, right?
No, he was at the Fillmore just about 2 years ago, year and a half ago, I remember. I couldn't go, actually. I was pissed. But that one I missed. It was like 2 years ago, I would say. Something like that. But that's a hell of a concert right there. Cruel World Fest. Okay? If you want to look it up and you want to go. I am definitely thinking about going.
Wanted to ask you, man, have you run into that Energizer Coke yet?
Oh, no.
Because I have actually looked for it, man.
Oh, you can't find it?
I'm thinking, obviously this is gas stations.
Did you go to Publix and 7-Eleven?
No, that's the thing. I'm thinking you got to go to the supermarket and grab 4, 6, whatever it is.
No, you can buy singles. I'm sure you can tear it off and they'll charge you just one.
Yeah. Publix is cool like that?
Yeah, dude. Yeah, because they'll have they have their the part where they have singles, so they have to charge you a single.
Yeah, because I haven't run into a gas station, convenience store, no dice.
Plus, you're going to buy that cold. You're not going to buy that off the shelf. So it's got to be in their.
I would hope.
It's got to be in their singles. So I bet if you go to like a legit type of, not mom and pop crap that it hasn't caught on to them yet. That usually takes a little bit for them to catch on to all that stuff. Let me see what we got here.
I've been wanting to run into that, Yeah,
I got you.
Check it out.
Let's see. What do we have here? Myron says, I like the XFL, but I need a break from football. NBA time for me. Go Lakers. I got you. Peter says, how many sponsors you got, man? We got plenty. You want more? Let's go. Join us, Peter. You got a sponsor that wants to join us? We got plenty. Miguel, you're ahead of others with soccer segment. Thank you, sir. Who was the worst guy you ever interviewed? Maybe Jay Ajayi? I don't know. Jay Ajayi, I think I interviewed him once. I thought he was all right, actually. Worst interview. Probably Kevin Brown. While Moises Alou was a jerk and he made us wait, at least he gave us good sound bites. Kevin Brown was terrible. Jim Leland at time, too, after losses, was also really classless.
Yeah, but that was because of the cigarette factor, man.
He's just an old fart, dude.
He's part of those backward-thinking baseball people.
Oh, God, yes, definitely. Let's see, what else do we have here? Jay Crowder was a steal in the Iguodala trade. His style of play works so well with the Heat. You are right, Jay. I would agree with that.
I want you to know I actually picked him up in my fantasy.
Really?
Yeah, I grabbed him. Yeah, man.
Okay, well, that's a spot starter type guy.
Look, I've got
you got an everyday league, so you can.
I've got every day, and I've got 13 spots only. Obviously, 3 on the bench, and I figured if one spot rotates, I'm able to get 5 or 6 extra starts.
Right,
and it's point total, not category by category. Versus head up.
Myron says, my favorite soccer team is Brazil, but I have never had a Miami soccer team. I think I will be a first-timer to root for Miami FC. I will be a rookie fan. No, you mean Inter Miami, right? Or Miami FC? Miami FC is the USL team in FIU. You mean Inter Miami is the MLS team. Let's see. Mike No-Go Zone says, give She Wants Revenge a chance. They're good. Well, I don't know what the hell that is. Myron says Cruel World Fest is from the song from Cruel Summer. Oh, you mean Bananarama. Okay. So Cruel World Fest from Cruel Summer. It's a cruel, cruel summer. Well, how come they didn't invite Bananarama? You know Bananarama's touring. They've toured a lot, and they've been touring a lot in Europe and stuff. They haven't really come much to the States. And forget about South Florida.
Is it all 3 of the girls, the
yes,
originals?
The 3 originals.
Really?
And they sound great. I've looked at the videos. I'm like, man, I wish they come because you don't realize it, but Bananarama's got a bunch of hits. And Bill, we've got Clay Aiken at the Pensacola Fairgrounds. Never mind, you want actual music. Clay Aiken is still, living off of that American Idol crap? Wow.
There's a lot of people that love that show and love all that.
I get it, but Clay Aiken, come on, man. I remember what he came up with. That was what we like to, politely call garbage. That's terrible stuff. But there you go. There's some music news, some concert news for those of you that love a little music. Man, that cruel World Fest. That's a really cool one. All right, let's wrap it up here on the program. We got to thank Jenna Lane for joining us, Tony Jones, and Michelle Kaufman as always. We thank all of you out there for listening, for downloading, for watching, sending us a text, a tweet, a post on YouTube, all of that. Bill, John, all of our excellent people that put this thing together. As Lord knows, I can't do anything by myself. I can barely tie my shoes. Don't forget to give us a thumbs up while you're watching the broadcast. As always, we will see you tomorrow live from Toyota of Hollywood, baby. Be good out there.
Have a good night. See you tomorrow.